day Marbles played basketball. Once upon a time, in a small town called Marbleville, there lived a group of marbles. These marbles were not just ordinary marbles. They possessed intelligence, creativity, and a zest of life. They were known for their expansive imaginations, their ability to make the impossible possible. One day, they decided to embark on an adventure that would forever change their lives. They would play basketball. Mr. Marbelia was watching the NBA, and he was thinking about how could he do it with his marble family. He questioned, how can I do this with my marble family? Then he got the idea to make the NBA, National Marble Basketball Association, and he loved the idea. So, he told his wife, Mrs. Marbelia, about this awesome idea. He said, honey, I came up with that awesome idea. Then Mrs. Marbelia asked, what's the idea you're so excited about? Mr. Marbelia shouted excitedly, I figured out a way that us marbles can play basketball. Then she said, surprised, what the fuck? Really? Then he said, yeah, it's a perfect idea. And she questioned, can our two sons, Streaks and Aber Galaxy, can be in the league? And he said, of course. They could be in the league because they're great at playing basketball and know all the rules. Mrs. Marbelia shouted, yeah, baby. Then he said, actually, we need a marble coach. A coach, but who? Then a marble coach called Phantom Kings said, I'll coach the NBA for you, Mr. Marbelia. He said, okay, thank God. I got a coach. The Phantom Kings asked Mr. Marbelia, how many teams do you want? Then Mr. Marbelia, how about 20 teams? Then Phantom Kings said, sure, you got 20 teams. Mr. Marbelia stated, the teams are Detroit Claytons, Miami Sunshines, Toronto Tomatoes, Los Angeles Richards, Chicago Plotters, Washington Bidens, New York Yonkers, Indiana Macaronis, Mississippi 69ers, Oakland Tornadoes, Dallas Dragons, Atlanta Drainers, Boston Badgers, Denver Buggies, Utah Mountaineers, Cleveland Browns, Minnesota Vikings, Brooklyn Brookies, Milwaukee Northerners, and Houghton Lakers. And then Phantom Kings said, great teams, Mr. Marbelia. Then he said, thanks, coach. Phantom Kings questioned, what team's your son's going to be on? Then he said, my sons will be on Detroit Claytons. Then Phantom King said, okay, I'll put them on that team. Mr. Marbelia shouted, yes! The next day, Streaks and Aber Galaxy woke up at 8 in the morning, went to the dining table, started talking about what team they wanted to play on. But little did they know, they wanted Detroit Claytons. Then he asked Mr. Marbelia, Dad, what team are we on? He replied, you are on the Detroit Claytons, and you'll do great at it. I'm going to say, and Streak shouted excitedly, yeah, we wanted to be on that team. And I said, awesome. Mr. Marbelia came home from work and was wondering what was going on. She asked, honey, why did they get so excited? He replied, they're so excited because I put them on a team they wanted to be on. Then she said with relief, okay. Thought it was something else. Mr. Marbelia showed up upstairs. Kids, good night. Be up by noon for your first day of practice. Streaks and Emma said, okay, Dad, good night. The next day, kids woke up at 9 a.m. Then second day of practice at noon, and Mom walked in and said their grandma is sick. She said, will you have practice today? No, sorry. She replied then. Emma said, damn, how bad is the sickness? She said, not that bad. The reason we are not sending you practice today, we don't want you to worry about during practice. And Streaks replied, true. Do we have to go to her house or no? Streaks asked. And Mom replied, no, not really. They decided to go back to bed for a couple hours. They woke up and watched the Miami Heat and Detroit Pistons were playing. At the time, the Heat won by 20 points. Streaks and Aber Galaxy were devastated because the other Pistons that was their first loss. And it's like, God fiddly widdly, we never lose. Lost. Mr. Billy came up in their room and asked the Pistons won streaks. Said sadly, no, we lost. Mr. Billy, dang. Oh well, at least it's still beginning of the NBA season. True, the kids replied. Oh yeah, they said, when's our next practice date? I'm not sure, Mr. Billy said, replied confused. Well, rang Mr. Billy said, why is the coach at the door? I see him on the ring camera. Mr. might be the question, did you tell your kids why they weren't at practice today? I said, yeah, I called them at 7 a.m. She said, okay, honey, Mr. Billy. Streaks on the door came inside the couch. Sat on the couch and said, Mr. Billy, yesterday's you got canceled. I forgot to tell you about it. Sorry, Mr. Billy said, oh, don't worry, my kids didn't come. My mom was sick, so I didn't want them to think about all the factors going on. Phew, said the coach, relieved. The coach left a few minutes later. Mr. Marbella later was wondering how the coach got his address because he didn't tell beforehand. So he asked him if the coach got his address, but he said he doesn't remember. He owns it. And the NBA call center person said, hey, Marbella, what's up? He replied, how does the coach fanbase know my address? The coach center replied, you own the NBA, silly. And that's why your kids, that's why we have your address. He said, I do own the NBA. Sorry. I was half asleep because fanbase showed up. He hung up. 1 week later, I'll break out seeing streaks. I had the first day of school. Mr. and Mrs. Marbella said, don't tell anyone the NBA, okay? The kids said, walk on the door. Okay, Mom and Dad. 5 minutes later, they got to school, and the first hour was digital media productions, second hour was math, third hour was English, fourth hour was gym, fifth and sixth hour was game design. They loved the first day of school. Then they got home and were so excited. Mom and Dad questioned, why are you kids so excited? They replied, because we got digital media productions, game design. They said, or parents replied, cool. You were going to enjoy your senior year of high school. The kids said, yeah. 3 hours later, they had lunch. Kids had quesadillas, and they said they were bussing. They said, kids really enjoyed their lunch. 2 hours later, Dad had gone to a party and got drunk. Then he came home. Mrs. Marbella screamed, why the fuck are you drunk? He replied drunkly, not drunk. Then fell on the floor. 10 minutes later, Ray said, if you become more drunk, we are fucking done. Okay, honey, he replied, this is your only warning. Now go to bed, you little drunk bitch. I can't because I gotta go to work. He said, you don't have work. You're off to, you dumb drunk bitch. He replied, okay, dang. He shouted, then he went to bed. 2 hours later, Mr. was thinking about the songs while I sponsored an NBA league. 20 minutes later, he chose Smack That, Two Dumb Kids, Heat Waves, and more. He thought those were awesome songs, and they all sponsored an NBA. Then they said the coach sponsorship for the songs, and they all sponsored and loved it. And Mr. Riley told the kids they were getting ready for practice from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Streaks and Aberg Galaxy knew this because they were talking to the coach over the phone. The next day, they had their first full day of school. All they can think of how their first practice would go today. They were talking to each other about it, and their teacher, Mrs. Fiddlesticks, went up to them and said, could you please quiet down while I'm talking? He said, sorry, Miss Fiddlesticks. Then they had lunch. Can you talk about it? They nervous about it for some reason. They got home a couple hours later, had dinner, got on their jerseys, then they customized themselves and went to the practice. Coach Van Ging said, hey, Streaks and Arrogance, are you guys ready for your first day of practice? Yes, we are. I'm also kind of nervous about it. Coach said, okay, that's okay. Everyone's nervous about the first day of practice. They said, oh, okay. You're not the only ones, because we thought we're the only ones nervous. Then, we got to the station and shot some hoops. Streaks got 4 3-pointers, 10 free throw, 2 half courts, and 1 slam dunk. Galaxy got 2 3-pointers, 5 3-throw shots, 1 half court, 2 slam dunks. Then the Kings looked at them and congratulated them on their outstanding sportsmanship. They said, congrats on the shots, wow. James Streaks commented, thanks, Coach. Coach just said, it's time for strength training. And Galaxy and Streaks said, okay, Coach. 20 minutes later, they were out of breath. And they were relieved that the practice was finally done. 5 minutes later, Mr. Murray pulled up in the building, waiting for Galaxy and Streaks to get out. 2 minutes later, Galaxy and Streaks came out of the building and went into the car. And he says, how's your first day of training? Awesome. Total, we got 6 3-pointers, 15 3-throw shots, 3 half courts, and 3 slam dunks. He said, Best Prize, wow, damn. You guys are really good at basketball. He replied, yeah, we are. Then he got home 20 minutes later. He thought they're awesome. Song sponsor. What advertisements featured in the NBA? Oh, Mr. Ruby replied. They wondered, as they wanted it for the NBA. The first ad was McAllen's Big Macs. They had State Farm, and they couldn't think of more ads because they were so lazy. 30 minutes later, Suns, Streaks, and Arrogance had to go home for ready for another practice. They had a schedule they have a schedule of when their practice and their games. It was Monday and they had practice. Either Tuesday or Thursday they'll have games. This short story was demonstrates the power of imagination in teaching valuable life lessons. Also encourages to embrace teamwork, determination, and resilience in pursuit of their goals. By immersing yourself in imaginative tales, we expand our horizons, tap into our creative potential. So let's imagine while we embark on this journey while marbles play basketball. The end. Greatest Empire of Romania. In the beginning, before the world knew of conquest and civilization, there was a land of ultimated beauty and wild, warring tribes. Land is also known as Romania. It was a place of vast rivers, fertile valleys, and towering mountains, where men and gods were said to walk side by side. The early settlers, strong and ambitious, built villages that grew into towns and dreamed of something becoming stronger, pursuing something greater. Legends say, chapter 1 is Dawn of Romania. Legends say of the first king, Reimagined, a warrior, unmatched skill and wisdom. It was he who united the sacred tribes under one banner, laying the foundation for an empire that would stand the test of time. Through diplomacy and war, he forged alliances, crushed rival factions, set forth laws that would govern his people. Under his reign, Romania took its first steps toward greatness. Chapter 2. Rise of the First Emperor. After centuries of kings, consuls, the true turning point came with the rise of Emperor Aurelius Magnus. He was a man of vision, understanding only through absolute power could Romania expand beyond its borders. He ascended through the mark of the end of the monarchy and beginning of the imperial rule. Archibius Aurelius reorganized the military, introduced advanced infrastructure, and declared that every citizen owned their alliance first to the empire. His greatest achievement was the formation of the Great Senate, a body of noblemen, scholars who would advise but never overrule the emperor, which he reforms in place for Romanium whether to grow beyond its homeland. Chapter 3: Conquest and Expansion. With the empire stabilized, the legions of Romania marched forth. The lands to the north were rich in timber and iron, the southern coast abundant of trade in gold. Archelaus led the campaigns against Romanian borders further than any civilization before. His generals, trained in the art of war, with discipline and superior strategy, overwhelmed their enemies. City after city fell to the might of Romania. Some were conquered by the sword, others through diplomacy and trade. The empire's reputation grew, both as merciless foe and generous ruler. Those who were surrendered granted citizenship. Roads were built to connect far reaches, when laws were in peace among the conquered. As Chapter 4, the Golden Age begins. As war slowed, prosperity followed. Trade flourished, bringing exotic goods from the east and west. Romanium's capital, Piraeus, became a beacon of culture, knowledge, and wealth. Grand temples, statues honored the gods, while scholars penned histories and philosophies that would endure for centuries. The emperor declared every citizen, regardless of birth, has the right to education and justice. With a way of innovation, architects built aqueducts to supply fresh water. Engineers developed new methods of construction, and artists filled streets with beauty. This is the golden age of Romania, where the empire stood unrivaled in the world. Chapter 5: The Legion's Might. The strength of Romania lay in its regions. Every soldier trained from youth, hardened rigorous discipline, and unbreakable code of loyalty. The legions moved as one. Their formations unyielding, their weapons sharp and deadly. They serve in legions, which is the highest honor, for it meant empires ensuring its future. War machines, siege tactics, and strategic fortress made Romania nearly invincible. Even as enemies plotted its downfall, none could match the sheer force of military might. Chapter 6: The Great Rivalry. No empire rises without opposition. To the east, Romania lay its powerful kingdom of Sarmatia, land of fierce warriors, skilled horsemen. For years, tensions simmered between the two powers, each vying for control over lucrative trade routes that connected the known world. The rivalry reached its peak with the Sumerian prince, seeking glory, launched a daring raid into Romania's eastern provinces. The raid's Emperor Aurelius declared war, sending his legions to the crusty invaders. With what followed, a series of brutal battles tested the limits of Romania's military and political endurance. Chapter 7: Politics and Betrayal. As Romania expanded, so too did the ambitions of its leaders. The Grand Senate, one loyal to the emperor, and became a breeding ground for corruption, political intrigue. Senators, they spread dark wars, plotting alliances, and betrayals, shift the balance of power. One senator, Cassius Varro, a man of immense wealth and influence, sought to weaken the emperor's hold. Though bribes and deception, he orchestrated a scandal that shook the empire, accusing one of the emperor's closest generals of treason. Charles followed with the spectacle, dividing the people and threatening the unity of Romania. Chapter 8. The builders of civilization. Despite the growing tensions, the emperor continued to thrive. Many architects and engineers pushed the boundaries of innovation, constructing roads, stretched for miles, bridges that defined nature, and cities that became marvels of the ancient world. Among the greatest achievements, the Forum Maximus, exploring interconnections, law, and culture. Here, from distant lands gathered philosophers debated, and lawmakers drafted the policies that governed the empire. It was a testament to Romanian's ingenuity, shining empire, what humanity could achieve at its peak. Chapter 9. Shadows of Rebellion. Yet, beneath the empire, shining it's brewed. In the other provinces where taxation was high, imperial rule felt distant, rumors, rebellion spread. A charismatic leader known only as Valerian the Red emerged as a voice for the opposite. He rallied farmers, former soldiers, and excited nobles, promising a future free from Romanian's grip. The first sparks of rebellion ignited the province of Gloria, where extinct entire garrison was slaughtered in the night. Emperor Furious sent his legions to crush the uprising, but his forces tried cunning, dense forest, and rugged terrain managed. War for the Empire's soul has begun. Chapter 10. The Emperor's Dilemma. Emperor Aurelius faced its greatest challenge yet. While the rebellion in Gloria grew stronger, threats loomed of the empire's borders. Smita had not forgotten the previous defeat, and their new king, ruthless and ambitious, saw Romanian's turmoil as opportunity to strike. The emperor gathered his most trusted advisors, putting whether his forces on crushing the rebellion, preparing for the war in Samaria. His decision would shape the fate of this empire. Romania stood at a crossroads, and next to a move could mean either preservation of its glory or beginning of its fall. Chapter 11. The storm approaches. As the emperor weighed his options, spices returned from Samaria with grim news. An army twice the size of any Romania has faced before was mobilizing. War was inevitable. Meanwhile, Valerian the Red continued to win over the hearts of the people. He forced his swelling with each passing day. Aurelius had no choice. He divided his legions, sending half to the eastern frontier to face the Samarians, while the other half marched west to the Church of the Rebellion. It was a despite gamble of the fate of Romanium hung by a thread. Chapter 12. The Fall of Imperius. The war raged on two fronts. In the east, the Sumerian hordes, led by King Zarthos, a warrior of legendary ferocity, pushed deep into the Roman territory. Legion after legion crumbled under the relentless onslaught. In Gloria, Valerian, now crowned Emperor of the Free People, railed his forces, threatening to cut off vital supply lines to the front lines. Then came the unthinkable. A traitor within the Great Senate, working in illegal to Sumerian spies, opened the gates of Imperius to the enemy. The city, once a symbol of Roman might, fell into chaos. The streets ran red with blood as the Sumerians slaughtered civilians and looted the treasury. Aurelius, trapped within the palace, witnessed the downfall of his empire. Chapter 13. A New Hope. In the midst of the chaos, a flicker of hope emerged. General Marcus Aurelius, the emperor's nephew, rallied the remaining legions in the west. Brilliant tactician, he devised a daring plan to outmaneuver the Samarians' army and strike their valuable flanks. He knew the war was far from over. Romanium, though wounded, still possessed the strength to rise again. He vowed to avenge his uncle and reclaim the empire, even if it meant sacrificing everything. Chapter 14. The Siege of Samaria. General Marcus, with his newly formed legions, embarked on a daring counteroffensive. He marched north, bypassing the main Samarian army and striking their heartland. The campaign was brutal. They will lose losses on both sides. But Marcus, fueled by burning rage and a deep love for his homeland, pushed his forces relentlessly. Finally, after months of grueling warfare, they reached the gates of Zarthos' capital city. The siege that followed was a test of endurance. Samarians, trapped within their walls, fought with desperation, but Marcus's legions, inspired their general's courage, slowly chipped away at the defenses. Chapter 15. The Turning Tide. Just as the Samarians were on the brink of collapse, a message reached Marcus. Valerian the Red, seizing an opportunity, has turned his attention south, threatening to invade the heart of Romania. Marcus was forced to make a difficult decision: continue the siege with losing everything, or return to defend his homeland. He chose the latter, leaving a small force to maintain the siege. He led his legions south, determined to comfort Valerian. The two armies clashed in a fierce battle that raged for days. The outcome hung in the balance. Chapter 16. A New Dawn. In the end, there was a cunning maneuver by Marcus that turned the tide of the battle. He used a threatened retreat to lure Valerian's forces into a trap, then unleashed a devastating counterattack. Valerian, wounded and outnumbered, was forced to flee. The rebellion crumbled. With the threat from both East and West eliminated, Marcus Aurelius returned to Imperius. The city was in ruins, but the spirit of the Roman people was unbroken. He vowed to rebuild the empire that was forced to conquest by the beacon of hope and prosperity for all its citizens. Chapter 17. The Phoenix Rises. Marcus, now hailed as the savior of Romanium, was crowned the new emperor. He embarked on the massive rebuilding project, restoring Imperius to its former glory. He invested in infrastructure, repairing roads, rebuilding aqueducts, and revitalizing its city trade routes. He also implemented reforms to address the grievances that fueled the rebellion. Taxes were reduced. Land was redistributed to the poor. And the power of the Senate was curbed. The people, weary of war and stability, rallied behind their new emperor. Chapter 18. A new era of prosperity. Under Marcus' leadership, Romanium entered a new era of prosperity. Trade flourished, bringing wealth and cultural exchange across the known world. Scholars and artists flourished. New schools and libraries sprang up throughout the empire. The legions, recognized and re-equipped, were once again forced to be reckoned with. Marcus understood that military might alone wasn't enough to maintain the empire. Fort fostered diplomacy, forging alliances with neighboring kingdoms, and establishing trade agreements that benefited both Romania and its allies. He also forced on improving the lives of its citizens, ensuring food security, providing health care, and promoting social justice. Chapter 19. The Seeds of Change. While Romanium enjoyed a period of peace and prosperity, the seeds of change were already being sown. New ideas and philosophies were beginning to challenge the traditional order. Merchants and travelers brought back tales of distant lands where different cultures and religions flourished. Among the Roman elite, there was a growing interest in Greek philosophy. With its emphasis on reason and individual freedom, this intellectual ferment led to debates about the nature of power, the role of the emperor, and the rights of the people. Chapter 20. The Legacy of Romanium. Generations passed, and the Romanian Empire continued to evolve. New emperors rose and fell, each leaving their mark on the empire. There were periods of great expansion and periods of decline, war and peace, and prosperity and hardship. But even in its darkest hours, the spirit of Romanium endured. Its legacy and its laws, its architecture, its philosophy spread throughout the world, influencing civilization for centuries to come. The Romanian Empire, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience, will forever be remembered as a beacon of power, glory, and the enduring human spirit. The end. Day in the life of the Marble family. Chapter 1. Morning routine. Sun peeked over the horizon, casting a warm glow over the Marble household. The birds chirped cheerfully, welcoming a new day. In the cozy two-story house on Maple Street, the Marble family began their morning routine. Lily Marble, the matriarch of the family, was first to rise. She tiptoed out of bed, careful not to wake her husband Greg, As she made her way downstairs, a smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. Leela loved the quiet moments of the early morning, a time to gather her thoughts before the day's hustle and bustle began. She poured herself a cup of coffee, stepped down on the porch, where could see her dog Rusty wagging his tail in anticipation for his morning walk. Rusty, a friendly golden retriever, was always full of energy, ready to start the day with a burst of enthusiasm. Back inside, the aroma of breakfast cooking soon wafted through the air, through the house. Lily was a fantastic cook, known for delicious pancakes and scrambled eggs. She hummed a tune as she worked, flipping pancakes, stirring and throwing eggs, filling a symphony of morning sounds. Upstairs, the sound of an alarm beeped, signaling the start of the day for the Marble children. Sophie, the eldest at 12, groaned and buried her face deeper into her pillow. Next door, her younger brother Max, age 9, jumped out of bed with the energy of a spring-loaded toy. "Good morning, sunshine." Lily greeted Max as he bounced into the kitchen. As always, children when he hugged his mom and eagerly sat down at the table. Soon, Sophie joined him, rubbing sleep from her eyes and smiling at the sight of her favorite pancakes. Greg finally made his way downstairs, greeted by a chorus of "Good morning, Dad." He groaned and joined the family at the table, savoring the peaceful start of the day. Breakfast was a time for the Marble family to come together, share their dreams from the night before, and discuss their plan for the day ahead. Day in the life of the Marble family. Chapter 1. Morning Routine. Sun peeked over the horizon, casting a warm glow over the Marble household. The birds chirped cheerfully, welcoming a new day. In the cozy two-story house on Maple Street, the Marble family began their morning routine. Lily Marble, the matriarch of the family, was first to rise. She tiptoed out of bed, careful not to wake her husband Greg. As she made her way downstairs, a smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. Leela loved the quiet moments of the early morning, a time to gather her thoughts before the day's hustle and bustle began. She poured herself a cup of coffee, stepped down on the porch, where could see her dog Rusty wagging his tail in anticipation for his morning walk. Rusty, a friendly golden retriever, was always full of energy, ready to start the day with a burst of enthusiasm. Back inside, the aroma of breakfast cooking soon wafted through the air, through the house. Lily was a fantastic cook, known for delicious pancakes and scrambled eggs. She hummed a tune as she worked, flipping pancakes, stirring and throwing eggs, filling a symphony of morning sounds. Upstairs, the sound of an alarm beeped, signaling the start of the day for the Marble children. Sophie, the eldest at 12, groaned and buried her face deeper into her pillow. Next door, her younger brother Max, age 9, jumped out of bed with the energy of a spring-loaded toy. "Good morning, sunshine." Lily greeted Max as he bounced into the kitchen. As always, children when he hugged his mom and eagerly sat down at the table. Soon, Sophie joined him, rubbing sleep from her eyes and smiling at the sight of her favorite pancakes. Greg finally made his way downstairs, greeted by a chorus of "Good morning, Dad." He groaned and joined the family at the table, savoring the peaceful start of the day. Breakfast was a time for the Marble family to come together, share their dreams from the night before, and discuss their plan for the day ahead. Chapter 3: School Adventures. At Maple Street Elementary, Sophie and Max went to their separate ways to their classrooms. Sophie, with her love for science and reading, and eagerly anticipated her lessons. She was particularly excited about today's science sprint on volcanoes. Max, on the other hand, loved math and sports. He couldn't wait for recess to play soccer with his friends. In science class, Sophie worked with their lab partner, Mia, to create a model volcano. They mixed soda, vinegar, watching, as their volcano erupted from fizz and foam. The experience in the room was palpable, and each group showcased their experience. Max Day squeezed it through. During math, he saw the tricky problem on the board, hitting a high five from his teacher, Mr. Jenkins. At recess, he scored the winning goal in the soccer game. His friends cheering him on. School was a place for learning and fun for the Marble children, filled with new discoveries and friendships. Chapter 4: Afternoon Activities. After school, Sophie and Max headed to their respective after-school activities. Sophie had ballet practice, where she worked in their periods in Pilates. She loved the grace and discipline of ballet, finding joy in the music and movement. Max had soccer practice, his favorite part of the week. He and his teammates ran drills, practiced their footwork, and scrimmage, all under the watchful eye of Coach Tom. Max dreamed of becoming a professional soccer player one day. He took every practice seriously. While the kids were busy with their activities, Greg was wrapping up his day at work. He had a successful meeting with his team and was excited about a new project they were launching. As the workday ended, he looked forward, heading home and hearing how everyone's day. Chapter 5: Evening Reunion. The Marble family reunited at home. In the evening, Leela had prepared a delicious dinner of spaghetti and meatballs, one of Greg's favorites. The family gathered around the table, sharing stories and laughter. Sophie excitedly recounted her science experience while Max detailed his soccer triumphs. After dinner, the family enjoyed some quiet time together. They played a board game with Rusty, occasionally nudging his way into the fun. The living room was filled with laughter and friendly competition, their favorite game, family trivia. As bedtime approached, Leela and Greg tucked the kids into bed. Sophie read a chapter of her favorite book, while Max insisted on one more bedtime story. Rusty curled up at the foot of Max's bed, a loyal companion through the night. Chapter 6: Reflections and Dreams. With the children asleep, Leela and Greg finally had a moment to themselves. They sat on the porch, sipping tea and reflecting on the day's events. They talked about their hopes and dreams for the future, cherishing the simple joys of their life together. As night grew darker, the stars twinkled above. They felt graceful for their family while that filled their home. The Marble family once, let me say, was a tapestry of shared moments, small triumphs, and a promise that new adventures tomorrow. In a quiet night, with Rusty snoring softly, and the house at peace, the Marble family dreamed of wonderful days ahead, knowing no matter what the future held, they would face it together. Chapter 7. Weekend Plans. The weekend arrived with a sense of excitement in the Marble household. Saturdays were for adventures. Today, with no exception, the family had a planned trip to the local farmer's market, their favorite weekend activity. Leela loved browsing the stalls, picking out fresh produce and handmade crafts. Greg enjoyed sampling the local cheeses and baked goods. Sophie and Max were eager to visit the petting zoo set up for the kids. Rusty trotted along, his nose switched with all the new scents. As they walked through the market, they greeted their familiar faces and enjoyed the lively atmosphere. Sophie found a beautiful necklace, while Mac persuaded his parents to buy a jar of honey from the friendly beekeeper. It was a morning filled with laughter and discoveries. Chapter 8. An afternoon in the park. At the farmer's market, the family headed to their favorite park for a picnic. They spread out a blanket under a large oak tree, unpacked their market finds. Fresh sandwiches, fruit, and homemade cookies were on the menu. Rusty chased after a frisbee, and Sophie Max played a game of tags with the other kids in the park. Leela and Greg sat back, enjoying the sunshine and the sight of their happy children. The afternoon was perfect, with a gentle breeze and the sounds of nature all around them. It was these simple moments that made weekends special for the Marble family. Chapter 9. Movie Night. Saturday nights were movie nights in the Marble house. After a fun-filled day, family gathered in the living room, ready to watch a new animated film Sophie and Max been looking forward to. Popcorn was popped, and blankets were brought out for extra coziness. Rusty found a spot on the couch, nestled between Sophie and Max. As the lights dimmed and the movie started, the room filled with giggles and gaps of delight. Movie nights were a cherished tradition, time for the family to unwind, enjoy the story together. By the time the credits rolled, children were sleepy but content, ready for another day of adventure. Chapter 10. Sunday breakfast and chores. Sunday mornings meant a big family breakfast. Greg took charge, whipping up his famous waffles, while Leela prepared a fruit salad. Fruit salad, copyright. The kitchen buzzed with activity, and a smell of fresh waffles filled the house. After breakfast, it was time for chores. The family worked together, turning the task into a fun team effort. Sophie dusted the living room, Max helped Greg with the yard work, and Leela tackled the laundry. Sounds a bit sexist. Shut up. Yeah, it does. No, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. Even Rusty got while chasing after a stray sock with great enthusiasm. Yeah. By midday, the house was sparkling clean. Everyone felt a sense of accomplishment. It's another example of how teamwork made the Marble family strong. Chapter 11. Family Game Day. Sunday afternoons were reserved for family game day. The Marble family had a collection of board games and card games that they loved to play together. Today they decided to marathon session of Monopoly. Greg was a strategic player, always eyeing the best properties. And we had played for fun, often making trades that amused the kids. Sophie was competitive, get the building her empire. Max loved the thrill of rolling the dice and moving a piece around the board. The game lasted for hours, filling dramatic moments of success and setbacks. In the end, it wasn't about who won, but about the time they spent together, creating memories and strengthening their bond. Chapter 12. Visit to Grandma's house. One month, the Marvel family visited Greg's mother, Grandma Betty, who lived in a charming house just outside of town. Grandma Betty was a vibrant, warm-hearted woman who always had a twinkle in her eye and a story to tell. The kids loved her, explore her garden, filled with colorful flowers and hidden treasures. Betty would bake her famous apple pie, and they all would gather around her cozy kitchen to enjoy it. These visits were special. Grandma Betty shared stories of Greg's childhood, and the family reminisced about old times and while creating new memories. It was a reminder of the importance of a family and connections that bind them together. Chapter 13. Sophie's School Project. Sophie had a big school project due, a presentation on space exploration. She spent the week researching, creating slides, and preparing her speech. Leela and Greg were impressed by her dedication and offered their support. One evening before the presentation, family gathered in the room for a breakfast run. Sophie stood confidently, explaining the wonders of the universe. Other family listened attentively. Max asked questions. Leela offered tips, speaking clearly. Greg helped her refine her slides. Team effort, and by the end of the night, Sophie felt ready, excited to share a project with her class. Chapter 14. Max's Soccer Tournament. Max had eagerly anticipated a soccer tournament for weeks. The day the family arrived, and they finally woke up too early to get to the field, Max put on his uniform with pride, ready to give his best performance. Leela packed snacks and drinks, and Greg made sure they had everything they needed for a day at the park. Sophie brought a book to read between matches. She also cheered loudly for her brother. The tournament wasn't intense when Max's team playing several matches. They came to the finals, a nail-biting game. Max scored the winning goal. The family erupted in cheers, cheering for his victory. Proud moment, and Max and a joyous one for the entire Marvel family. Chapter 15. A rainy day indoors. One Saturday, the Marvel family woke up to the sound of rain tapping against the windows. Their outside plans were put on hold, but decided to make most of a cozy day indoors. Later suggested a baking session. Soon, the kitchen was filled with the aroma of cookies and brownies. Sophie and Max helped measure ingredients, decorate the treats with colorful sprinkles. After baking, they set up a front living room with blankets and pillows. The family snuggled inside, sharing stories and playing games. Rusty curled up with them, enjoying the warmth and comfort. The rainy day turned into delightful adventure. Laughter and togetherness. It was a reminder that sometimes moments happening and changes unexpectedly. Chapter 16. Community Service Day. The Marvel family believed in giving back to their community. Once a month, they decided to decided a day out of volunteer work this month. They decided to help out the local animal shelter. Sophie and Max were thrilled to spend time with the animals. They fed the cats, walked the dogs, and helped to clean the kennels. Rusty stayed at home this time, but they promised to bring him some new friends next time. Leela and Greg worked alongside other volunteers to organizing supplies, ensuring animals were comfortable. It was hard work, but it felt rewarding to contribute for a good cause. By the end of the day, the family felt a sense of fulfillment. They had made new furry friends and helped make a difference in their community. It was a day well spent reinforcing their values, kindness, and compassion. Chapter 17. Leela's art exhibition. Leela had been working on a series of paintings for months, and her day of art exhibition finally arrived. She was nervous but excited to showcase her work to the public. The gallery bustling with visitors. Leah's family was there to support her. Sophie and Max admired their mother's talent, putting out their favorite pieces. Greg beamed with pride, knowing how much effort Leah's put into her art. The exhibition was a success, with many people praising Leela's creativity and unique style. It was a proud moment for her, and a testament to her hard work and dedication. The family celebrated a special dinner, toasting into Leela's achievement. Chapter 18. Greg's promotion. Greg has been working hard on a major project at his company, and his efforts were recognized. Well, after his promotion, the family was thrilled for him, knowing how much it meant. They decided to celebrate a weekend getaway to the mountains. Their trip was filled with hiking, exploring nature, enjoying the beautiful scenery. It was a perfect way to unwind and celebrate Greg's success. Around the campfire, they roasted marshmallows and shared stories. The night sky was filled with stars, and the family felt closer than ever. It was a magical weekend, a fitting celebration of Greg's hard work and love they shared. Chapter 19. Sophie's ballet recital. Sophie has been practicing for months for her ballet recital. The big day has arrived. Auditorium filled with parents, friends, and family members, eagerly waiting for the performance to begin. Sophie was nervous but excited. She had a beautiful costume and perfected her routine. She stepped onto the stage. She spotted her family in the audience. A supportive smile gave her the confidence she needed. The recital was a success. Sophie performed beautifully. Her family cheered loudly, proud of her grace and dedication. It was a moment of triumph for Sophie, recognition of her hard work and passion for ballet. Chapter 20. Reflections on the family. As the year drew to a close, the Mama family took a moment to reflect on all the experiences they had shared. They had celebrated victories, supported each other through challenges, and created countless memories together. Around the dinner table, they talked their favorite moments of the year and hopes for the future. Leela and Greg expressed their pride for Sophie and Max, who had grown and accomplished so much. The family made plans for the new adventures, looking forward to what the coming year could bring. They knew whatever happened, they would face it together. Love and support. In the end, it was single moments, shared meals, laughter, and love that defined their lives. Mama family knew, no matter where life took them, they always have found each other at And so, the Marvel family continue their journey filled with love, laughter, and a promise of endless adventures. Their story was one of togetherness, resilience, and unbreakable bond of family. The end.